Yeah, I can hear you now. There you are.
All right. Perfect, my man. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Mikey. It is a pleasure to join you, or thank you very much for joining us. Let's go ahead and get into some conversations. Mikey, first of all, how are you doing? How's your family with what is going on with the coronavirus? Are you guys safe? Are you guys okay? Everyone that you know, are they okay and safe? And have they been plagued by this at all?
Yeah, well, we've been staying safe. You know, we've been staying home most of the time. My parents are well, and I actually got to see them yesterday. I had been quite a few, weeks without seeing my parents, but they came by to say hello. Yesterday was my daughter's birthday. My daughter's birthday turned 13.
No, happy birthday to her.
Yeah, thank you. So we were just here at home, just us. Everybody through phone calls and FaceTime and whatnot. But for the most part, we're okay. It's unfortunate, that we have to do things this way right now instead of getting together like we normally do as a joining together for a big party or whatever. But we do what we can right now to keep our spirits up.
Well, Mikey, let's talk about your last fight that you had with Jessie Vargas. It was an excellent performance by you on February 29th. You knocked him down in the 5th, en route to the decision victory. What did you learn from that fight against Jessie Vargas down in Texas?
Well, it was a good fight. He came in to win. He put up a great effort. He was complicating things with the height and reach, just like we expected. But once I started getting the timing and the rhythm of things, I felt more comfortable, and I was able to take control of the pace and the fight. And I hurt him, but he got back up. He fought back. He was always dangerous, So something that I could say I learned is that I'm obviously risking a lot more fighting at a welterweight division. Bigger guys can always be dangerous. I could definitely feel the size difference in the ring, but we got the win. We feel that that's all I need to do, to show everybody that I can be a key player at the welterweight limit. I need to make sure that I can win, and that's what we did. I don't want to risk a loss, trying to get the knockout. So we played safe. I think it was a good call, and I know I have the ability to do so even at welterweight.
Mikey, you have said that your father and your brother, Robert, obviously the esteemed trainer, former world champion, that they have said they feel your best weight is at 140, but yet you seem to be steadfast in campaigning in the welterweight division. Why is it? Is it a case the bigger names are at 47, bigger financial opportunities are there? Are those the main reasons why you are not necessarily going against your brother and your dad, but you're kind of doing things the way you see fit for yourself?
Well, I do want to secure a title at 47. Being a 5th division title holder would be, amazing for my career, for my legacy. I think that's really what is pushing me, to continue, at 147. I really want to get that 5th world title. I think I have what it takes to do so. I got to earn my shot. I got to get in line and make something happen. And once people are able to see me, at 147 and fighting another world title fight, I think I'll take advantage and show everybody there's a lot more to Mikey Garcia than what they've seen in the past. I do feel that 140 would be a better natural fit. But it's just one of those things where I know that the champions are also held by a different entity, and it's going to be a lot more complicated to secure a world title fight. 2 of the belts are held by Ramirez, who's also a stablemate, a friend of mine. We're obviously not going to be fighting each other, so it just complicates things at 140. And if there's no title fight at 140 available, then what am I going to do there? I'd rather secure and reach for a title at 147.
And that would be unprecedented for you to be able to be a 5-division world champion. You've been a pro since 2006, going on your 14th year. Do you still have the same love for boxing? Do you still have the same, as they talk about, that fire in the belly that you had when you were, years ago when you were fighting at 26 and 30?
Look, it's actually changed. It's a little funny that when I first started boxing, I didn't really have that love or that fire. It kind of was just like something to do, and I was good at it. It was natural. It's part of the family business. So here I am. But when I took the layoff and I went through my troubles, coming back kind of ignited that fire, that love. You know, it was taken away for a few years. Now that I have it back, there's a lot more I want to accomplish. There's so much more to show the world that I can be one of the best of this generation, of this era. And in order to do so, I got to challenge myself. I got to fight the world champions that are there and take on the biggest fights that people want to see me in. And so that's the funny part. Like I said, it's changed. Normally, a lot of times for the fighters, it's the other way around, where maybe as they get older, they lose that fire, they lose that passion. But for me, it was backwards. Now I have that passion. I'm not done. I'm excited. There's so much more I want to accomplish. I was looking forward to fighting, 3 times this year. That might not happen with, the current, issues that we're going through. But, I want to fight a lot more. I'm not done. I got many more years to go. And then that's what keeps me going, because I know there's so much more I can accomplish. And I believe I will accomplish everything before I retire.
Well, let's talk about some of those big name matchups. I know that you have mentioned you want a fight with Manny Pacquiao. Also, you have discussed the fact of, even though that it didn't go your way and you suffered the first blemish on your career, but that you would want a rematch with Errol Spence. Let's go back about a year ago, 14 months ago, when you fought Errol Spence at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. A wonderful atmosphere, over 47,000 fans, close to 50,000. What did you learn in that fight against Errol Spence?
Well, it was a great fight, a great performance by him. He fought, the perfect fight. He really knew how to box as a southpaw stance, kept the right distance. I felt like I was gonna be able to get on the inside or maybe use lateral movement, but I just wasn't able to. He was able to just always be a step ahead. He was a step quicker, a step better in every way. I knew he was gonna be a tough fighter. He does everything so well. I kept saying he reminds me a lot about me. There's nothing flashy and nothing special that stands out in Errol Spence, but everything he does it very well, very effective. A lot similar to the way I fight, but he was obviously a lot better, and he was bigger guy, longer reach, the height, and he knew how to use it. He didn't give it up. Whenever I tried to get on the inside a little bit, whenever I tried to walk forward, he walked back and keep the distance. And whenever I tried to box on the outside, he would walk forward just enough to be at a distance that he was able to tag me with and land punches combinations. Am I back?
Mikey,
am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
He was able to always, dictate that distance. So he fought a perfect fight. And I mean, what else can I learn? Hey, that's just boxing. You gotta take what you learn from that loss and keep moving forward. And I think I want to earn my shot. I need to win, a few fights, get another big fight, maybe a world title fight, and that would secure a rematch opportunity.
Well, let's talk about what could potentially be next. A name that you have been very vocal about has been that of Manny Pacquiao, the man who last July defeated Keith Thurman. So what is your thought process in regards to this potential fight with Manny Pacquiao? We had Keith Thurman on 2 weeks ago, and he said he feels that he deserves a rematch against Pacquiao. With where you stand right now and being very vocal about calling out Manny Pacquiao and believing that it is stylistically a fantastic fight for you, what is your mindset about potentially fighting Manny Pacquiao? Have you heard anything about his interest on potentially fighting you? Or where do you stand right now when it comes to a potential matchup against the 8th Division World Champion in Manny Pacquiao?
Oh, I mean, I would love an opportunity to fight Manny. I think even though he is a southpaw, he's not quite the boxer to use that like Errol, like the height. He doesn't have the height and reach advantages like Errol. So I think that makes it a better fight for me, where I know he's going to engage. I know he's going to fight hard. He's a great fighter. He's a living legend, and I would love to add something like that to my resume, fighting the great Manny Pacquiao would be, tremendous for my legacy. And if I'm capable of securing a victory over him, that definitely adds to what I want to accomplish, that legacy, those big triumphs. I'm excited if we can get that fight. That'd be the best fight. I know there's other opportunities for him. There's other options. You mentioned Keith, maybe Errol Spence, maybe, other names, in the division like Danny Garcia or anybody else. I'm sure all these are big fights for Manny. Like I said, I would love an opportunity as well. I think it would be a terrific fight. The fan base would love that. I think I have a lot of fans. He's obviously the biggest draw. So I think it would be a terrific fight. And if I can get that, I'm definitely taking care of business. I'm not going to let this pass by, I hope we can secure that and look forward to it. There's nothing bad that can go. I think I can fight very well. I feel that my boxing style can complicate things a lot for him, similar to the way Marquez complicated things for Manny, all those fights.
Do you see yourself as this generation's Marquez with the way you fight? I see a lot of similarities in the both of you, in the sense that you're both intelligent fighters. You're a wonderful counterpuncher. You have a fantastic jab. Do you see some of, do you feel like you have some attributes that Marquez possessed, which obviously were very beneficial for him in the fourth fight against Pacquiao?
I guess I do have similar attributes. We can both box effectively, counterpunch, be efficient. There are some similiarities. But I don't see myself like that. That's maybe for you or for other analysts, to say. I've always been a fan of Marquez. I've always been a fan of Juan Manuel Marquez. He's my number one guy. I love him before he fought Manny. When he was up and coming, I used to watch him, and he was such a beautiful boxer, very defensive, very effective counterpuncher, and would only engage when he felt the moment right. Later in his career, he became a little more aggressive, a little more on the offensive side, and that's what drew a lot of fans towards him. But I already loved him even before that, So I have nothing but big respects to Marquez. Like I said, I don't want to emulate or say that I'm the next Marquez, but I could see some of the resemblance. I'm effective. I'm smart, counterpunch. And that's worked. It works for my style. It may not be the most exciting style, with like the flashiness, with the fastest hands or the craziest footwork, but it's effective and it works. I couldn't do that against Errol Spence, like I said, but it fought the best guy at 147, the best resume at 147, and that's okay. You learn. I learned from that. Just like Marquez when he fought Floyd, he kept going.
Well, that night when you fought Spence, the fans came out. They were very supportive of you, along with Spence as well. But do you feel the love from the Mexican fight fans that when you came back to the sport, and especially you knocked out Dejan Zlaticanin and became the lightweight world champion, and as you continue to fight, fighting Adrian Broner and your most recent victory over Jessie Vargas, but I feel like your star power just continues to go upward. Do you feel more of the love from the Mexican fight fans since you've returned to the sport?
I do. During my layoff, I'd be going to different shows, and people would always ask, when I was coming back, when was I going to fight again? My brother would always get questions, from all the fans. When's your brother coming back? When's Mikey coming back? And every platform, every news outlet would always ask me, what's going on? We want to see you. So that showed me that there was still a lot of love. But once I came back,
go ahead, Mike.
Sorry, but once we came back and started having the fights again, the love just kept growing. And I think it's also due because I keep fighting, the top fights, the top champions in every division. I mean, I fought Dejan, who was an undefeated world champion, who a lot actually picked him over me at the time, being that it was freshly out of my hiatus, and he was a very, solid, strong, champion, heart-punching fighter. I took on a risk, but I won. We took on Broner. Broner at the time was still, regarded as one of the best, fast, naturally bigger in weight. I took that. Then I moved up, fought Lipinets, another, solid, probably the heaviest hitter, puncher that I faced in recent times. I mean, one of the hardest hitters. So, all these guys that I was facing was champion after champion. Even Easter, Robert Easter, we unified the lightweight division against Robert Easter, another undefeated world champion. And recently, a year ago, fought Errol Spence, another undefeated world champion at a 5th division. I think that's what has really lured all the fans, to support me, because they see that I'm just fighting nothing but champion after champion after champion. And that's how I see my legacy growing, and I adore my fans for supporting me in return.
Mikey, is it fair to say that when you came back the second time, that with the names that you mentioned and the victory over Lipinets was mightily impressive, all of your victories, but that you wanted only the best of the best? I feel like there's no such thing with you as a tune-up fight or as a fight to get you ready for a bigger fight. From the way that I've seen your career in this second half is the fact that you wanted to fight, either champions or the best in the division or big names. Is that fair to say?
That's fair. Look, I just don't get excited for a tune-up fight. That's not gonna give me excitement, and it's not gonna allow me to perform. I need a big challenge. I need a big name, a big, opponent that can challenge me and push me, in order for me to perform. This last fight with Jessie Vargas, he was available. He fit the bill that we wanted, the fight at the time. We've picked for other names. We looked at other names, but they were unfortunately unavailable. They were unavailable for the time that we needed. And then some of the names that were brought up to me were just not exciting. They were tune-up fights. They were comeback fights, and I just didn't want that. I do not need a tune-up fight. I do not need a gimme fight just to get back in the ring. I do not need that. I need a challenge, in order to grow and in order to show everybody what I'm capable of doing. And, Jesse did that. He's a former 2-division champion, former welterweight champion. His only 2 defeats had come to the hands of Manny Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley. So it was the right opponent, big, natural guy that I can showcase my skills against. And now I'm looking for bigger fights. I'm looking for the biggest fights available. It's not just what I want. Obviously my opponent or the guys would also be interested in a fight with me. But I think that I'm willing to fight anybody, that's available and that makes sense. That's how I keep growing. That's how my fans keep growing. That's why they love me so much.
Was that a big confidence booster for you to be able to defeat Jessie Vargas, has to say, okay, I can win and win decisively here in the welterweight division? Because heading into that fight with Jessie Vargas, there were some pundits who thought, well, maybe this is too much weight for Mikey Garcia. Did you hear those comments heading into that fight with Jessie Vargas? Look,
I know a lot of people still doubt, that I can do anything at 147. Everybody that seen me against Errol Spence, has a right to their opinion like that. That was a horrible performance on my end. I just wasn't able to do anything. But I know there's so much more I can still do. I just, wasn't, it wasn't my night. It was just one of those things where I couldn't perform. But I know I'm capable of performing. And that's why I think the fight with Jessie Vargas helps clear some of those questions, a lot of those doubts. It allows to give the fans and the critics an opportunity to see me again at 147 against a top fighter, former champion, and see me perform well to be able to consider myself a legitimate contender. And I don't doubt myself. I never doubted myself. Even after the Errol Spence fight, I didn't doubt myself. I just knew, okay, it wasn't my night. But I know there's so much more I can still accomplish, and that's why I'm still sticking around at 147.
Mikey, what are your thoughts on the rest of the welterweight division? You have discussed Errol Spence, you mentioned Manny Pacquiao, but let's look at the other guys within the division as a whole. The guys like the Danny Garcias, Terrence Crawford as well. You have Sean Porter, who is in the mix. You know, Sergey Lipinets, a man that you defeated at 140, is now campaigning in the welterweight division. What is your current thought process on what 147 has and some of those names I mentioned?
Sorry about that. I'm back.
No worries. But what are your thoughts on the rest of the welterweight division? We went ahead and we discussed Spence, Pacquiao, but what about the likes of Keith Thurman, the Sean Porters, Terrence Crawford, Sergey Lipinets, a man at 147, Dennis Ugas as well, the Cuban. What is your, initial analysis of those guys?
Look, the welterweight division is very stacked. You got great talent, lots of champions. All the names you mentioned, I think would be terrific fights. I think I'm able to get in the mix with everybody, and I'm willing to do it. The only thing is, are they also willing to do it? Maybe they also have other options. Maybe they have different agendas that they're in search of. So I'm able to be flexible, but I don't know if everybody's available. I would love to get in the ring with all of them. I think a great matchup would be Danny Garcia. I think that would be a terrific fight. I know he was in search of a possible Errol Spence fight or Manny Pacquiao fight. So maybe he's trying to get that fight before facing someone like me. He already fought Keith and he already fought Sean Porter, but I haven't fought them. So I'm willing to get in the ring with Keith and Sean. I think those would be terrific fights also.
So you're saying that you'd be willing to fight Sean Porter in your next fight?
For sure.
If you can't get Pacquiao, let's look at, I talked about this with Thurman, but what's your wish list right now? Number one, I would say, is what, Pacquiao?
Look, Manny Pacquiao would be the ideal fight for me. Yeah. And that's what I would entertain the most. If that offer was presented to me, I would definitely explore that the most. Okay. But if that's not available, if Manny says, I'm not fighting Mikey for whatever reason, I'm fighting Danny or Errol or whoever it may be, then I'm going to have to look at whoever else is available, whoever else is left. If he decided to fight Sean Porter, then I may look into fighting Danny Garcia. But if Danny's looking for Errol, then the only one left out would be Keith. So then maybe I go with Keith. The only name that I'm not really looking at as much, and not because I wouldn't want to fight, but because I know the business would be probably impossible, would be Crawford. Being that I've seen Bob Arum maybe not say the nicest things about me, I just think that fight's probably out of the question. I've seen and heard Bob speak some things about me that pretty much tell me he doesn't want to work. So it's not that I wouldn't fight Crawford, and I don't think Crawford has anything, against fighting me. He would love to fight, but being that he's held by Top Rank and Bob Arum, that just complicates things for the moment. So I think I would look at the other options, like you mentioned, all the other names. Sean Porter would be a terrific fight. He stands and fights every single time he gets in the ring. He's in exciting fights every single time. I think the fans would love a fight like that. Keith, same thing. Keith is there to fight. And he's been a champion, unified champion, and I think that would be a terrific fight for the fans to watch. So like I said, I'm open to fighting anybody.
Mike, I think it's interesting, and I think it goes to show your character, because not many people are lining up to fight Sean Porter, because stylistically he is rather difficult to deal with inside the ring. So I think it's a testament to the fact that you literally want to fight anybody. And what you just told me, it sounds like you are open to a fight with Crawford if personal politics can be set aside. Is that correct?
Look, we would definitely be able to fight Crawford. I would love to fight Crawford. Bob always says that I'm too difficult to negotiate, that I'm asking for a lot of money, that I'd be asking for way too much money, to negotiate. I'll ask him, when has he ever spoken to me about a fight? Never. Zero. When have we ever discussed a fight? Zero. Not since 2014. Not since then. So I don't know what he's saying when he says that I am asking for too much money. You know, maybe his people are telling him that. Maybe his workers or his employees are telling him that I'm too difficult. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe he's not getting the right information. But I never sat or discussed anything with Bob Arum regarding a possible fight with either one of his fighters, either with Crawford or with Lomachenko. But he always says that I'm asking for, you know, numbers outside of this stratosphere, which is completely, you know, a lie. I've never discussed any of these fights with anybody in Top Rank. Not a single time. So
it's all been through the media, that it's all this hearsay that is going on, for what it sounds like, Mikey.
Look, I would fight anybody. If he invited me or if I invite him over to discuss a potential fight with Crawford, I'm more than happy to do so. And if we can get the figures and do the accounting the right way with no one being greedy, then we have a fight, you know. But I also understand the way business is run, and the way he runs his business, you know, is very different than the way I would like to run that fight, you know. So it just probably wouldn't happen, you know. It's one of those things where why chase something that it's probably not going to happen. So if I have other options with like we mentioned, Sean or Keith or Danny or Manny or Errol Spence or any of the other guys, you know, I'm more likely to do this, you know.
Do you think that those fights would be pay-per-view fights, Mikey, or would you like to fight Sean Porter on, let's say, you know, Big Fox or Showtime? Was that something that would potentially interest you based on the numbers that you are, you know, possibly looking at?
I think all of these fights will be huge fights because all of these fighters have already become champions more than once. You know, all these fighters have been champions multiple times or in multiple divisions, and so have I. So I think these fights, all of these fights will be huge fights, especially because the people just want to see the best fighting the best. You know, Danny already fought Keith and already fought Sean. You know, Manny fought Keith.
Yep.
Sean Porter, you know, fought Keith. I think we're in the mix, you know, makes for bigger fights. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm the only one that they haven't fought. You know, so I'm sure the fans would love to see me in the ring with all of these guys.
Mikey, with the way that the world is right now, with the coronavirus, you know, striking all over the world, and we see that thousands are dying, and our thoughts and prayers are with anyone who has been affected or has a family member or a friend that's been affected in any way, shape, and form by the coronavirus. But what are your thoughts on potentially fighting in empty arenas? Is that something that you've thought of? Because the way that sports is going to move forward, at least for the short term, it appears as if we are going to see no fans in stadiums or arenas. What's your take on fighting with no fans in the arena?
Look, initially I'm not very excited for a venue like that or that scenario where we're in an indoor studio or warehouse or whatever it may be. I'm not so excited for that. Honestly, I love the fans. I love the crowd. In fact, the most special moment of the whole event is the ring walk. At least it is for me. The ring walk, hearing the music play with all the fans getting up and cheering me on, that's emotional. That brings, you know, tears to my eyes sometimes. Mm-hmm. That's the best feeling, you know. So I don't know how it would be fighting in an arena without any fans or very limited people around, you know, only like the people working the event. It's just one of those different scenarios where I don't know how I'm gonna take, but I'm willing to give it a try. I'm not just gonna retire. If that's what we have to do to get in the ring, and in order for me to grow my legacy and, you know, leave my mark in boxing, then I'm willing to do it. You know, I'll probably, you know, I probably won't like it, but I'm willing to do it if that's what it's gonna take. And I think if this whole virus doesn't go away and we're not able to secure, the vaccines or the medication needed, then we're gonna have to move on with scenarios like this, indoor studio type of scenarios where it's just broadcasted instead of live attendance. It's gonna change. It's gonna be different, but it may be one of those things where that's the only thing to do. We can't do anything else. I also don't want to retire. I don't have plans to retire, and I didn't want to retire, so I'll definitely fight.
And you're still 32 years of age, Mikey. And do you want to get, if let's say boxing's back June, July, at the latest, hopefully no later than August, but do you want to get, one more in, even if, let's say, there are no fans throughout the remainder of the year? Do you want to get one more in before that, or would you rather sit back and wait and see if things change towards 2021?
No, I definitely want to be back, especially if things start to look better, with the COVID virus. Even if it is an indoor fight like that in a studio or warehouse or whatever it may be, I want to come back. I want to be able to come back and look for the bigger fights, after that. I like I said, I'm not ready to retire. I want to push hard. I want to, accomplish a lot more. And I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to fight it in an arena like that. Like I said, it's not my first choice. It's not what I would prefer. But if that's what it takes, and that's what's going to have to happen.
Mikey, you're a very proud family man. You mentioned the fact that your daughter just turned 13. Your brother and your father have accomplished so much along with you. How much have they influenced you and been such a key component to what Mikey Garcia is and has done? I mean, you've been around prize fighting, I feel like, since you were born.
Well, I just grew up in it with my brother and my dad, being the first ones there. I grew up in the sport, and, I think I've learned a lot, obviously, from them. But what I've learned the most is the family values. My dad and my mom instilled that, because that's what I saw. That's what I grew up seeing. I remember growing up, and everybody gathering around the living room to watch, boxing fights on TV, pay-per-view, or, whether it was Chavez or Oscar or whoever it was, So we grew up, with boxing in our lifestyle, but I learned the most of family's, values from my mom and my dad. And as I grew and as I started my own family, I kept that, obviously. And the boxing, lifestyle in the gym with my dad and my brother are one, but family, outside of the ring, outside of the gym, it's different. We separate the two. When we're in the gym, we're doing our job. That's our job. And my dad and my brother will be there, to push me to do what I got to do. They're not babying me because I'm their brother or because I'm their kid. They're not going to treat me special just because I'm family. They're going to push me to do what I got to do. And I totally understand that. And when we are not in the gym, when we're at home, then we can hang out and have laughs and, have a fun time. But we're able to, separate the two. But it's just terrific. I wouldn't change it for anything else. It's great to have family, in your corner, because they also will take care of you the best. They know me better than anybody else, and that's how we see everybody in the gym. We all see each other like family, even though, we're only friends with some of the other boxers, we're friends. But in the gym, we're all a family. That's why we support each other. All the fighters that are in my brother's gym, we support each other. We go to each other's fights. We congratulate each other. We wish each other well. We're a family. We hang out, outside of the gym. We welcome everybody like family, because that's what really strengthens, our relationships and helps each other, push and motivate, each other the most. We see each other. We don't want to let someone, be better than us. So it's a friendly competition.
I also saw, Mikey, that you dabbled into being a boxing promoter. What is that like, in being able to, stick your foot in the water when it comes to being a promoter and not just the fighter?
Look, it's not easy. It takes a lot of time, patience. But I enjoy it. I like it because I'm also helping other fighters develop their careers, build their records, just like I did, early when I first started. You have to start from zero. So if I'm able to help a fighter develop a winning record, maybe give him an opportunity to get on a bigger platform and take a chance and win something big and move on, in the ladder, then that makes me happy that I'm also using my own, leverage and platform connection relationships to help others. I'm only going to box for X number of years, but if I can continue helping other fighters, I'm going to be in boxing for the rest of my life, and I'll have so much pleasure and satisfaction knowing that I helped, all these fighters, reach their goals, reach their highest potential. And that's what it's about for me, being a promoter. I'm not doing it for the money. There's no money right now, not at the level that we are. Honestly, there isn't. Yeah. People think that we're making money or that every promoter is going to make money just because they see a good show. That doesn't turn or translate to dollar bills. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it to help the fighters. I'm doing it to help the kid get an opportunity to grow and maybe get showcased on a TV fight, and then he can make some money. Not even me, it's for them. So it's fun for that reason, and it feels good to be able to help.
How much longer do you see yourself fighting as a boxer? There are different things that fighters say when they're, some guys say, hey, I want to fight till I'm 35. Other guys say, until I can't compete at this level. Do you have a number in your head where you say, okay, by this age, I am done, or I have 2 or 3 years left, assuming I'm healthy? Do you have a number like that in your mind as to how long you want to continue fighting?
Look, I did earlier when I first started my professional career. I had a number. I figured at age 30, I would probably be ready to retire. Had I not taken the time off, then I probably would have retired, between 30 and 32. But being that I did take the time off, now all that has changed. I'm 32, and I feel like I'm hitting my prime. So I'm definitely not going to retire anytime soon. I think, me personally, I will keep fighting minimum 3 to 5 years. However, if things change and I'm unhealthy or I get injured or whatever, then, we got to, call it quits. But if I'm healthy and I'm physically fit to keep fighting and competing at this level, then I'll definitely be fighting for at least 3 to 5 years. Like I said, there's so much more I want to accomplish, and I don't see me retiring anytime soon. Like if I'm healthy, for all this time, I'm gonna do this for a long time. I want to leave a big legacy. I want to leave a big impression in boxing. I want to be remembered. I want my name to be remembered among the greatest. To do it.
Do you want to be? It sounds like you want to be mentioned along the lines, even though you are Mexican American, but along the lines of the the Chavezes, the Barreras, the Moraleses, the Marquezes of the world. Is that fair to say?
I want to be remembered not only with the Mexican fighters. I actually want to be remembered and regarded as one of the best fighters, of this generation, of this era. We got all the Mexican fighters, like you mentioned, Barrera, Morales, Marquez, Chavez, and so many more. But, I think that when I'm done with the sport, I'll be loved for everything that I've done. And I'll be remembered, for the ages, being that I have fought the best and never ducked anybody and just kept fighting nothing but the biggest and baddest fights out there. I mean, that's what's going to leave my mark. Of course, I'll be remembered with some of these greats. I don't want to I can't say I'm going to be compared to, because everybody has had their career and tremendous careers. So it's not fair for me to try to compare myself. But in this generation of the fighters that we have right now, I will be one of the best in this era.
If you could, when would your next fight be? If you had the opportunity to truly dictate it right now, when would you want your next fight?
If I could dictate my own agenda, I'd say I'd do something in July or August.
Okay.
I'd do a fight in July, August, because that would still leave some room for a possible December fight. That would probably still do it.
If you can, you want to fit that third one in there if you can.
If I could, yes. If I'm not hurt, no injuries, no cuts, stuff like that, and if the opponents are available, I would love to take on, like I said, on 3 fights this year. That was my goal. That was my goal. So if I can still squeeze that, that would be perfect. If not, then, at least once more before the end of the year. Maybe we push something for like a September, October date, and then, wait till next year.
From what it sounds like, Mikey, you want to be very active this year, but also there are challenges when it comes to maintaining your fitness level and staying sharp. Because obviously what we see that, you can't go to any gym. I don't know, have you been working out in the boxing gym? Have you been running still? A lot, and, people are under quarantine, and, I don't think there's much sparring going on that I know of with gyms because everyone is trying to maintain and keep social distancing and things along those lines.
Yeah, I haven't been to the gym. My brother actually closed the gym to all his members and all his fighters. He also stays at home for the most part. I did plan on starting to get back in physical conditioning by running, doing some exercises at home. I do plan on doing that. I had said I was starting in May. So, I got one more week of free time. I got this week of vacation left. But I do plan on getting back, getting some runs, getting some core workout just at home, just to get some activity going. It's not good to just stay static, for long periods of time. It's not good for the body. It's not good for your health in general. So I do plan on coming back, little by little, just to get some physical activity going.
I know you guys love, obviously, the sport so much, but do you go back and watch some old fights, throwback fights that you used to love, or anything in regards to the sport of boxing?
I have. I've checked out a couple of fights. I've been watching some of the classic fights that Showtime has put out. I've seen the Corrales Castillo fights. I've seen the Marquez versus Vasquez fights. I've seen those, and that was special because I was helping Vasquez as his sparring partner for the second and third fight of the trilogy. They actually had 4 fights, but I was Vasquez sparring partner for the second, third fight. I've caught a couple others on YouTube. I've caught a couple other fights there. So, we don't have, live boxing right now, but there's plenty of fights on the libraries, that we can check out, the classic fights, just to keep us entertained. And man, you still learn from them.
No question about it. Finally, Mikey, as we get ready to let you go, we appreciate your time here on Instagram Live. But what do you want to tell everyone as they, all your fans and boxing fans and those around the world that, these are very trying times with the coronavirus pandemic that has enveloped the entire world?
Look, it's a very difficult time, very different time. It's crazy to think that we would ever be in these circumstances, in this time of age. But, I just want to wish everybody well, stay safe, stay healthy. Please, take precautionary measures. No one thinks it's a big deal until it's something close to your family. And, we don't want, anything like that to happen. So that's the best thing we can try to do, be as safe and as clean as possible. Avoid, being around anybody that might be sick or that was recently sick. And just, keep a positive mindset, look forward for the future. You start planning something. You got all this time to you right now. Start strategizing on how you can improve, and maybe start a little side hustle, or maybe read books, get online, educate yourself online. There's a lot of ways to learn, and stay busy, even at home. There's a lot. School is out. You can teach your kids. You can keep them busy by even playing. Like if you're playing, school or do a lot of home projects. I've been actually trying to keep busy, trying to finish some home projects that we always put aside. Oh, I'll do it later, and it never gets done. Well, right now that I do have time, we've been taking care of a lot of the projects here at home. Just keep busy. Keep around home. That's all you can do. And also take this time to kind of reflect on what's really important. It's not always just about the material things. It's just the quality time, because in the end, once everything's all done and said and we're, ready to, die, all you're ever going to take are the memories, and all you're ever going to leave behind are memories. So let's make plenty of those. Let's make plenty of those to take and plenty of those to leave.
Mikey, lastly, I know that you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. The NFL draft just wrapped up yesterday or a couple of days ago, but what was your initial impression on the Dallas Cowboys, their draft selection? I thought it was a pretty boss move by Jerry Jones to be making these draft selections on a yacht, as only he could do.
Look, we're excited. I think once the season everything clears up and the season resumes and everything, I think it's gonna be great. Cowboys. I've been a fan, of the Cowboys, and honestly, I'll be honest. We've always had great talent, but it's together. We have one player that kind of doesn't have the season that he did the last season, or whatever it may be. I'm excited because we got some very good picks, and I think the team overall is gonna be terrific. I think we've always been contenders, and that's what it is. Even if you don't always win it, but you have that, I think you always have a chance, and we definitely have a chance. I'm excited. My nephew Pita was talking about it. He was all pumped up. I'm like, oh, okay, now you're a fan again, because he was a little disappointed. I was disappointed last season. I was disappointed. I think everybody was disappointed last season, but that's okay. That's the way I feel. I can relate in a way. You don't always win. You don't always perform. That's okay. But what do you do after that really matters? And that's why I'm excited for this next year.
Now, trust me, I'm a Bears fan, so I feel your pain, Mikey. So, obviously,
yes.
Hey, thank you so much for your time again, Mikey. Stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you back inside the ring sooner than later. Again, a pleasure talking with you, and thank you so much for being so open and honest with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Stay well.